Welcome and good morning, everybody, to this podcast. We have a wonderful superstar from the Midwestern part of the country. We have a lot of great superstars from the East and West Coast, and there's just a handful of great people like Natasha Johns who we're with today. So, welcome, Natasha. Glad to have you here. And tell them what city you work in and what company you work for.
Yeah, so I'm in Southern Indiana. I work for Carpenter Realtors. So Bloomington, Indiana University, everyone's heard of Indiana University right now because we are the college football
Yeah.
champions. So if you haven't heard, I feel like you're living under a rock. But so yeah, Southern Indiana is my territory.
Um, how long have you been selling real estate?
This year I'm celebrating 20 years.
20 years. And how long have we worked together?
So I got introduced to your system in 2019. And
Okay.
then in 21 is when I approached you about coaching me.
Good. And I think that was in Fort Lauderdale, if I'm correct,
I
where we
think
first met. Where
you're
we
right.
first met. Um, what did you do before selling real estate?
So I was a school teacher for 10 of those years. I always said I didn't want
Wow.
to be a full-time real estate agent.
What grade level did you teach?
Junior high math, third grade, fourth grade PE, and I taught for a college for a while math.
So I went to college to become a school teacher. I don't know if I've told you this. And so we have they took a group of us freshmen in college at San Jose State, and they put us in a special room with one of the teachers to teach us how to teach. So first week she said, "Do you have any questions?" I said, "I want to teach kindergarten or first grade. What kind of money would I make on an annual basis?" She said, "Probably pretty high, about $6,000 a year." I said, "Not every year." She said, "Well, yes." I said, "Thank you." I got up and left.
Mhm.
That was it. It's too bad because I was looking forward to working with kids. And when I tell people I wanted to teach kindergarten, they go, "That's because you act like a kindergartner." That's, that's amazing.
It takes a
So,
special person for kindergarten.
what caused the transition from teaching school to being a successful realtor?
So I don't know if I ever would have got out if it wasn't bad administration. We got bad leadership. I felt like I couldn't do my job anymore because the leader was just weak.
Yeah.
And real estate, I had moved to part-time teaching, and real estate just I always said I only wanted to take care of friends and family, and that kept growing. And so I was having a hard time balancing it. I think I could have still done it, but it was getting the point of a full-time teacher with a master's degree. I was making 40,000 a year, and it had no looks of raising anytime near. So I just kind of was like, I can always come back to teaching if I really miss it.
Good for you. Did you make the decision pretty quickly?
I did. Yeah. That summer yeah, it I had bought another house that was a little farther away from the home, and it didn't make sense any longer. And I turned in my resignation on a Thursday. I said it was all God's timing. Um, I just moved into my new home, turned in my resignation on a Thursday night, and Friday morning, DCS, which here it's Department of Child Services, called me, and I was placed that next morning with a 5 week old meth addicted baby. So I went from, oh, I was going to go full time real estate to, well, I've got a new baby. So then I got to start juggling going back full time real estate and then a newborn.
Good for you. What's your average sales price?
It's about 200,000 now. When I first started working with you, it was about 114. And so it's a big whopping 200,000 now.
Wow, 200,000. For some of our viewers, as you know, because you know these people, 200,000 doesn't even get them a garage.
No.
So, is there a lot of demand in your market for people to buy and sell?
There
Or,
is. Yeah.
or are you creating the demand?
I want to think I'm creating the demand. I have about 8 to 9% market share. And every day is a good day to buy and sell.
You made a comment a minute ago which got my attention, that you wanted to work with friends and family when you started. My initial thought was you have a lot of friends
Mhm.
because you
I'm
do a lot
blessed.
of this.
I
How
am.
many transactions have you done so far in your career? Do you keep track of that?
Yeah, so we figured it about a year ago and I was over 1,000.
Good for you. That is great. And I assume you're the top producer in the area and for the company.
Yes.
And I have found talking to top producers all the time, Natasha, that it's wonderful, it's great, it's a good opportunity, it's a lot of financial security, and a lot of people that are competitors don't like top producers. How do you deal with that? Or
It's
do
tough.
you?
It, I think around here, I in the very beginning, I was always the top producers were my idols. So I remember one of them saying, "It's lonely at the top. You have to get used to that. Figure out a strong support system." And I feel like I was blessed with it came at the right time, being introduced to the Mike Ferry organization, having coaching with you, it just totally changed my outlook of across the country. That's where I'm looking for my new mentors and friends versus necessarily right where I'm at.
Good for you. What's the population of the market that you work in approximately?
So I am in Lawrence County, which is it's kind of small. It's about 30,000. But if you move right up about 20 minutes north of me to Monroe County, it's I should know this right off. I want to say it's 170,000. But it's again college town, but there's a mixture. You've got a lot of college kids, but you do have a lot of people that are just professors. We've got a lot of different medical facilities up there. So we are really, we're just growing. And then, as you know, we have Crane Naval Base, which people don't
Yeah,
think of Indiana for a naval base.
yeah.
Um, but that is just about 30 minutes west of me. So that's bringing in engineers, that's bringing in just kind of a different clientele. So my average sales price should continue to rise pretty drastically. I feel like part of my issue has been I don't want to stop working with my lower end, and that has created a little bit of a roadblock for me because of it.
I was talking to one of our clients yesterday, and I said, "Have you taken any listings in the last week?" She said, "Well, I took one, but it's hardly worthwhile." And I said, "Why?" "Well, I listed it for 295,000." I said, "Are they paying 6%?" She said, "Yeah, and I'm going to sell it myself." I said, "Then what's the problem?" But we get spoiled with commission checks that are getting larger because the average sales price is increasing in most parts of the country. How big is your database?
It's about 850 people.
Do you work it pretty heavily? Is that a big part of your business?
Most agents scroll. Top agents study. Follow Mike Ferry on all platforms and think like top real estate agents do.
I do. My goal is always 20 calls from it a day, and then I do 4 postcards a year, and I try to do 2 events that they're invited to, like an Easter event, and then I try to do a fun adult event towards the end of the year.
What would you say percentage-wise of your total business comes from your database?
Probably about 65%.
Good for you. That is great. Um, I've discovered, in spite of what I talk about on the stage, that the top producers are capturing more and more and more of their database as business than they have in the past. Are you finding that same thing?
I do. I think that one thing that we discovered is I am a little bit more of a hunter. I get kind of bored with my database. I'd rather go after the for sale by owner and expired, but I'm really starting to get rooted on it's even hunting And I think that was a mental block I had, that I wasn't still hunting with my database. And I think that was a huge mistake I was making, because some of the best hunting can be made right inside my database. And they're giving me great solid leads where I almost don't even have to prove myself, because they are a huge recommendation for me.
Good for you. That is great. I wrote down, you often hear agents complain about top producers. They buy their business by overpricing. They're cutting commissions to get deals. Is there any reality for you in that statement at all?
I am the most expensive real estate agent around.
Say it again.
I am the most expensive real estate agent around. I don't
Good for you.
discount my commission at all. I just had that objection this morning of, why are you so much more expensive? And I said, I think my track record kind of proves it. I have 20 years of experience, over 1,000 transactions. So
That's
I'm
it.
bringing an experience level to you that there's no other agent in Southern Indiana that has that.
That is great. I had an agent about 2 weeks ago say to me that, one of the people that you're promoting all the time cuts her commissions all the time. So I did some research and I couldn't find one transaction out of 150 that this person had done in the last 2 years where she cut her commission. And I'm always amazed that how feeble the excuses are for people that don't want to produce,
Mhm.
because that's pretty feeble. It's uh, as you say, you're not going to be able to do 1,000 transactions by cutting commissions over pricing properties. It just
Yep.
isn't going to work. So, of the four personality styles, which style are you?
So everyone thinks I'm an expressive by the look, but I would consider myself a driver. I'm driver personality. I
Good.
want to be an expressive, but I'm a driver.
That is cute. So, Larry Wilson taught us that you have a primary style,
Mhm.
and that primary style is driver, and then you have a backup style that under stress that you can rely on, or it's something that you've always wanted to do. And you just described exactly what Larry teaches.
Yep.
And do you find that that personality style gets in the way? Because I'm a driver also. And as you know, people like you and I don't pay a lot of attention to the wrong group of people.
Yeah.
And it creates a little bit of dissension um, among the speakers because, we all have semi-mastermind groups that we work with. And when you're strong and opinionated like you and I are, um, their opinions are not always widely accepted. So congratulations.
It can
My
be exhausting at times, but it's definitely, I have learned, and again, it's a big thanks to your coaching. I've learned that even before I hire staff, I sit them down and I say, I know I look really fun. I know I look approachable, but when I'm in work mode, I'm going to come into the office. I'm not going to ask you how your weekend is. I'm going to have a list of everything I need to get done. I'm going to bark orders and I'm going to get that list done before it's quitting time. Don't
Good.
take it personal.
Good for you. So how many transactions did you do last year, 2025?
126 and a half, I believe.
And do you have a small team, a large team, a team at all?
It's myself and I don't have anybody licensed. I have a full-time assistant slash driver and a transaction coordinator in the Philippines.
So your transaction count is truly your transaction count.
That's
It's
correct.
not it's not a group of buyers agents that are supporting what you do.
Yeah.
I get asked all the time, what is the best model for business? Strong agent, good staff, maybe a referral person to send your buyers to if you don't like working buyers.
Yes.
Make sense?
And I've followed kind of what you've told me to a T, and I'm blessed with the best staff. That I mean, I couldn't do it without them. And
Yeah,
then, I do have some agents that if I'm busy, they'll show.
yeah, which is good. What's your goal for this year?
125, but to raise
Eh,
my average sales price.
And are you close to being on track?
Tony last week told me that yes, I'm doing good.
That's cute. Because a lot of people, for some reason, on the two coastlines of the country, and in the bigger markets of Canada, Toronto, Ontario, Vancouver, etc., January, February, March were tough.
Mhm.
Was it tough in the Midwest?
Yeah, it was January and February were slower. May was probably my best month of close to my career. June got a little bit slower. This month has taken off like crazy again. So it's been a little up and down. I think the key has been for me keeping my mindset, like you say, between the lines, not letting my emotions get too or high or low, and just realize that there's plenty of business out there. I just need to keep doing what I'm doing, even if it is a little bit of a slow month or slow week.
Well, that's the key is be able to be consistently spending your time trying to do a deal. And most people are caught up in everything else. Is your market at all seasonal?
It is very seasonal. The summer months, the weather gets really nice. Kids are out of school. It'll slow down a little bit then, but it seems like it picks up a lot right before school's out. And then once school gets back in, it'll stay pretty steady for me. And a lot of times, my fourth quarter is one of my strongest quarters because it's like everyone wants to hurry up and get things done before winter hits here in Indiana.
Good for you. So I've got to ask, are you a football fan?
I'm more basketball, but last year made things pretty exciting. So,
I cheered for Indiana all year long
yeah,
because the quarterback,
yeah,
because he seemed like such an upright guy. And now we have him in Las Vegas
yeah,
as our starting quarterback.
yep.
So
I thought
it's
about
going
you
to be
guys, and I may have to come out there just to watch a game, but I think his mindset is, I mean, I told my boys, I've got three boys, and I'm like, this is my dream is for you to have the same mindset of for a college kid to be like, he's already won. It's just crazy to me.
when you're driving into Vegas from Southern California, when you get across the border, there's a couple of giant billboards, and all it says is Fernando.
Yep,
That's all it says.
I believe it.
And it is kind of fun. So that for the watchers and viewers, a little diversion, personal stuff, what the heck?
Yeah.
I wrote down this question. Um, what advice would you give an agent sitting in front of you if the person said, I'm getting started, I want to in a few years get up to 15 to 20, 25 transactions? What advice would you give them?
I mean, coaching, immediately get into coaching. That is something I wish from the beginning I would have met you a lot sooner. I would have, instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, I would have got off to a better start, maybe not had as many bad habits to have broke. And then, I think they all want to just immediately form a team or get an assistant. And I think that's so backwards. You need to prospect and you need to negotiate and you need to go on your appointments and you need to do all the nitty gritty work. And then as soon as you start producing, hire that assistant because a lot of people don't realize how much managing employees and even other
That's right.
agents bogs you down. So, I'm to a point now where, and my staff, they fully support me. And if I start getting off track, they will swap my hand. But they know my job is to prospect, negotiate, and go on appointments. And that's it.
So I hear this answer all the time that a prospect and appointments is the name of the game for a top producer. About how many appointments would you say average you go on per week?
My goal is about 5 to 6 listing appointments a week. And
Right.
then it depends on how many listings. I like to take 3 to 4 listings a week.
Okay. And if you go on 5 to 6 a week, approximately on average, how many listings would you take?
4.
Okay. And do you turn down a lot, or are they turning you down, or is it a combination of both?
I mean, there's times my commission will sometimes I will not be able to overcome that, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Um, and then I'm getting finally to a point where last year I actually let go of a big investor because my integrity didn't align with what I wanted to see out of a client. So I'm starting to, if it's overpriced or if the condition is a concern for me and they're just wanting to band-aid it, I am starting to pass and move on.
Good. So what kind of a schedule do you keep on a daily basis?
So I've gotten a little complacent, not as good as what I used to be when I was really rocking, but right now I try to between 8 to 9:30, I try to make my database calls expired for sell by owner and any hot leads. And then I leave my afternoons for listing appointments and showings.
So you actually call buy owners and expireds
Oh yeah. Those are my
because,
favorite calls.
because so many of the normal agents keep saying, well, the top producers don't call on the buy owners and expireds. Why would we? And I say, well, then how do they get all the listings?
Yeah, I
And,
think that when we and I've battled this. I think I'm starting to the pendulum's starting to swing for me the other way. But I think when we get in this top producer role, our egos really get in the way, and we start expecting people to call us versus us calling
yes,
them. And I simply have said, Natasha, your ego is out of check. You are a salesperson. You need to make the calls. Don't expect them to call you. So I think that for sell by owner and expired, I'm back to enjoying hunting and realizing it's my job to call them.
yes, it's always our job to initiate the transaction.
Yeah.
Um, so in terms of your day-to-day business, is there any areas that you're working on to improve to try to get to a higher number of closings?
Mike Ferry Events, where top producing agents get sharper. The original real estate coaching. Get registered today and invest in yourself.
Yeah, so I'm pushing hard to get into Bloomington. So one thing that I've said is I'm going to a couple days a week, even if I don't have appointments, actively go up there and work. So, Monday we went into a gated community and I have a listing there and I just started, can't really door knock per se, but I started just some neighbors that were out, had some good conversations. But again, I think it's that ego thing that's gotten in my way of I've not wanted to go out as much. And I think, again, it's a lot of work for me to go the expressive and go like it's exhausting. So I'd rather just be able to sit behind a computer and work on the phone. But I'm not as strong working on the phone as I am actually getting out there and having face-to-face conversations with people. So I'm
It's
really,
interesting. Interesting you would say that. I hear that all the time from the top producers. Everybody thinks that we spend all day on the phone. The good ones are out on the street talking to people. Do you still have to role play and practice much, a little, some, none?
yeah. So this summer I'm not because I've got a bunch of kids at home. So that is one thing that's on the back burner until they go back to school. But I used to do role play twice a week, which still isn't
Good.
enough. But yes, usually my goal is twice a week.
What kind of advice does Tony give you regarding role play?
He would like to see me doing it every day.
Because Tony, when he was an agent in Victorville, which was somewhat similar to where you work, it's a little bit lower priced. There's not quite as much activity, smaller population, more moving out than moving in. So it's a normal market. And Tony said he would role play and practice 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the afternoon, 5 days a week. I
Mhm.
said, how long did you do that, Tony? He said, for 2 years. I
Mhm.
said, no wonder why you can do my script so well.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, so role play is not a priority, but you're working on it.
Mhm. Yeah, I think for me, prospecting, I mean, I didn't really have a formal set of even prospecting until I met you. So that's been my focus. And I keep trying to learn more and more of the system, but I'm having to break some old habits and keep improving.
Well, it sounds like with your production, you've broken most of the bad habits that have to be broken. I mean, you have a lot to be proud of. So, children,
3 boys,
how old are your boys?
15, 10, and 8.
Wow, 15, 10, and 8. So you have two full-time jobs.
Yep. Single
Good.
mom. So yeah, they have to become priority. And so that's, my production the goal was 200 units a year, and I was definitely going that route, but I've had to do a little bit more of a work-life balance. So
Good for you. People say to me all the time, you can't raise a family and be a full-time realtor. I said, if you treat real estate like a real job in terms of the hours you spend working, and you're actually working to produce, you can do both jobs very well.
absolutely.
No question about it. Well, I want to say to you how much fun it's been it's been what, 6 years that you've been very involved with the company. And hopefully it's been beneficial to meet some of the other top producers like yourself. And hopefully, if somebody has a referral, why don't you give us your cell phone number? And if they have a referral coming into Southern Indiana, you'd be the top choice. So
Sure.
your cell
Yeah.
phone is,
And I'd love for them to reach out to me just so I can put them in my database. So my cell phone is 812-345-2795.
say it once again.
Okay, 812-345-2795.
Well, I want to say I hope you get lots of calls. I had one question that I wanted to ask, and I forgot to ask it. Is most of your business listings sold or buyer controlled sales?
Listings sold. I'm about 70% listings, 30% buyers.
Good for you. Well, we hope the second half of your year is great. And we hope to be able to see you at a couple of our events coming up. And I want to thank you for your time. I know you're pretty busy, but your office looks like a professional salesperson's office. And that's the name of the game. So thanks for your time.
Thanks, Mike.